Heco Aurora 200p can connect to your TV using HDMI cable. The connection supports the ARC protocol, which is very convenient, because the ARC protocol allows you to adjust the acoustic volume directly from your TV remote control. Be sure to make sure your TV has ARC enabled and make sure your TV supports the ARC protocol in order for volume control from the remote to work. Because, not all TVs support this protocol and the ARC protocol is called differently in different TVs. Besides HDMI plug, you can connect to Heco Aurora 200p via optical cable. The optical wire supports connection up to 24/192. Also, you can connect to Heco Aurora 200p via Bluetooth. By the way, they support Bluetooth aptx, which, in principle, corresponds to the CD quality format. Also, a very trendy connection, these days, for vinyl lovers, is the MM RCA phono, which is also supported. Well, or, you can simply connect another analog source using a 3.5 jack plug or RCA. Switchable between phono equalizer and analog line input via a switch on the rear panel. There is also a volume control on the back panel. With the help of the knob, you make it louder and quieter, and when you press the Heco Aurora 200p, changes the source. That is, it is the choice of entry. Also, on the rear panel, manual on and off, network connection and the last connector, these are two connectors for connecting passive acoustics. On the rear panel, there is also an output for connecting a subwoofer. In principle, if bass is not enough for you, and you want to get a full-blown, bottomless bass from this acoustics, then use of an active subwoofer is recommended. Also, on the rear panel is an optimized phase inverter. He looks fantastic. It feels like it is metal, but, in fact, to the touch, it seems that it is painted plastic. But it does look really impressive. It's a pity that this phase inverter is located at the back and not at the front, like a decoration of the front panel. Interestingly, the bass reflex is optimized so that you can position the Heco Aurora 200p next to a wall. The manufacturer recommends installing Heco no closer than 10 cm from the wall. Usually, this is a distance of 50 cm, a meter or more. But, here 10 cm. This is very convenient so that you can arrange the Heco Aurora 200p according to your design ideas or according to your interior. In my opinion, the most convenient use of the Heco Aurora 200p is the acoustics that is located next to the TV. That is, as an addition, as an extension of your TV sound, because the HDMI ARC interface itself, as it were, asks, connect me to a TV and enjoy good quality sound. Also, of course, you can use the Heco Aurora 200p as a desktop speaker. By placing it next to your computer, you can use the Heco Aurora 200p to connect to the vinyl. This is a very convenient option, because you do not need an additional amplifier, you do not need an additional phono stage, you basically get the system from two components, a turntable plus active, high-quality acoustics Heco Aurora 200p, which together do not take up much space and at the same time produce high-quality sound. And the last area of application that I see is a sound device for connecting to a phone or tablet via Bluetooth, because, in fact, it sounds via Bluetooth. These acoustics are very good. About how it sounds on Bluetooth, I'll tell you a little later. Despite the fact that the Heco Aurora 200p is in the budget segment, it looks just amazing. The first thing that impressed me in this acoustics was the magnetic, neat grill. This is very handy when the grill is magnetic, because I really hate grills with plastic rails. Firstly, they cannot be removed, and secondly, they cannot be put on. And thirdly, plastic guides break all the time. But here, the grill is neat as hell, black, very thin, flat, made on an MDF frame and covered with an acoustically transparent fabric. Fantastic cool grill, and how easy it is to put on. How easy it is to take off. It's really just joy. The acoustics look very festive. Heco here departed from generally accepted standards. If usually, inexpensive budget acoustics are just a parallelepiped, without any frills, then here is the front panel and the top panel, lacquered. And it seems that the front panel and the top panel are, as it were, a decorative overlay on the acoustics cabinet. In fact, they are probably one, but the appearance of this acoustics, in my opinion, is much more expensive than this acoustics is worth. On the front panel there is also an indicator with diodes of various colors. This indicator, this box, shows which playback source you have selected. In order to remember which source you have chosen, you need to keep in front of you the instructions, all the time, which says which color is responsible for what. In addition, the diodes flash from time to time, therefore, simply without preparation, it is actually problematic to make out what this or that diode mean. Twitter acoustics with a diameter of 28 mm, is made of a silk compound that does not actually exist in nature. If you Google right now, you will find that there is no such material, silk compound. In fact, these are two materials, silk thread, from which silk fabric is made, and the dome of Twitter, and a compound, which is a polymer and with which impregnation is carried out. Well, either tweeters or a compound are used to fill all kinds of electrical circuits, so that these electrical circuits have been isolated from the effects of moisture, the effects of air, the effects of the environment, and so on and so forth. It is interesting that Twitter is bordered by a fluctuator. I told about what a fluctuator is in the story about Heco Belladonna, which is acoustics in principle of their highest hi-fi level, and in fact it is interesting that, in the budget series of acoustics, a solution from more expensive speakers is used. The function of this fluctuator, the ring that surrounds Twitter, is in the most even dispersion of high and medium frequencies that this Twitter exudes and gives out. First, it looks fantastic, and second, it works amazingly. I'll tell you about how fluctuator tweeters sound later, in the section when I talk about sound. And by the way, I forgot to tell you that Twitter uses a double ferrite magnet, and also, to improve performance, Twitter uses ferroliquid cooling. Whatever it means, Midbass Heco Acoustics is made of classic long fiber craft paper. Normally Heco uses long grain Nordic wood paper to make the speaker fast, light and strong enough. Speaker optimized for low distortion, rubber surround. I cannot say that it is very hard, and I cannot say that it is soft. That is, it is of medium hardness. Speaker walks pretty easy, but at the same time elastic. The dust cap, as well as the diaphragm itself, is made of Heco craft paper and has the same color and texture as the diaphragm itself. The Heco Aurora 200P's built-in amplifiers are 2x35 watts and have a peak power of 2x70 watts. That is, these are quite serious indicators for small room acoustics. Class D amplifiers are installed inside. The active speaker weighs 5.8 kilograms and the passive speaker weighs 5.2 kilograms, and by simple calculations, we come to the conclusion that the digital unit, power supply and amplification unit of this active speaker weighs as much as 600 grams, that, in principle, by modern standards, a rather heavy piece of iron to obtain high-quality sound. Reproducible frequency range from 38 Hz to 40,000 Hz. In principle, the upper limit of the reproduction of acoustics is declared at a much higher level than a person can hear, because the sound that is heard above 20,000 Hz is considered ultrasound. Of course, I assume that these acoustics will reproduce sounds up to 40,000 Hz, but whether you will hear these sounds, and whether this will affect your perception of sound, I doubt very much. Because usually, when experts measure the frequency range, after 20,000 Hz, there is a pretty serious dip in the frequency response. Complete with acoustics, a small modest remote control is supplied. With this remote control, you can turn the acoustics on or off, you can press the mute button, which I don't understand why is located on all remotes and on all devices. You can make it louder, quieter here. Interestingly, with this remote you can adjust the tonal balance. That is, you can add or cut high frequencies, or you can add or cut low frequencies. In fact, a very handy thing, and between the adjustment buttons for high and low frequencies, there is a linear button with which you can set the amplitude frequency response to 0. And also, I see here the ability to select a source. Of course, the remote control, in principle, is exactly the same as that of my Chinese lamp that now illuminates me from the left side. Only the buttons are called differently. And once, when I was filming a review on Clips the 5 McLaren edition, the Clips, by the way, also have a remote control of exactly the same shape. Apparently in China they are made according to some one template, one project, and when I, in the review, began to show as Clips change volume, the lamp that illuminates me began to change brightness. There, video came out with a lack of light. Today I listened with pleasure to Heco Aurora 200p in the Avex Audio Salon, which is located at 9A Katlakalna Street, entrance F, in the city of Riga. The sound of this acoustics is clear, neutral, it is absolutely accurate and fantastic, the whole texture of the music. These acoustics are very well suited for small rooms, well, up to a maximum of 15 square meters. I didn't like listening to hip-hop on this acoustic, because hip-hop requires a big, sweeping, powerful bass. And the frequency range of the Heco Aurora 200p is limited to 38 Hz, which, in principle, is not enough to feel the shuddering power. But on the other hand, when listening to instrumental music, when listening to metal, rock, the bass is actually very clear and textured very well. As indicated in the technical specifications, the Midbass is optimized for low distortion performance. And there is very even, distinct, articulated middle. When musicians, performers sing songs, you hear all the words clearly, you clearly make out the letters and the speech is transmitted very legibly. Incredibly neat, smooth and voluminous upwards. Thanks apparently to the silk compound tweeter, which does not exist in nature, and thanks to the fluctuator. Despite the fact that the Heco Aurora 200p is, in principle, budget-active acoustics, they calmly draw a stage about 1.5 meters deep, on which the musicians are clearly located, and there is also separation in depth. Guys, this is a very pleasant feeling. The images of the musicians that I see when listening to the Heco Aurora 200p are basically medium in size. In order for them to be taller, to be larger, of course, it is necessary to supplement the Heco Aurora 200p with an active subwoofer. But even without an active subwoofer, I liked the sound precisely for its accuracy, precisely for its texture. And I really liked the sound because of its neutrality, because the Heco Aurora 200p brings absolutely nothing to the music. I hear music and I don't hear acoustics. In principle, if it were not for their attractive appearance, then I most likely would not even have seen these acoustics. But both the appearance and the quality of the music are amazing for the money for which these acoustics are offered. By the way, then I listened to the Heco Aurora 200p using Bluetooth, and the connection to the acoustics did not cause me any problems at all. Press the pair button on the remote and pair. The sound quality is absolutely consistent with a good quality source, that is, the aptx codec in this case works for us. Can all these Hecos really do? In fact, there are some things they can't do. In my opinion, there is a critical lack of the ability to stream music from the phone. Now, if Chromecast and AirPlay were added here, it would be generally wonderful. It would not be acoustics but a bomb, but nevertheless, even when connected via Bluetooth, the sound left an incredible impression on me with its high-quality textural study of the sound and accuracy with neutrality. Also, I will note the amazing appearance. The acoustics look stunningly elegant with or without grills. In fact, I like the way they look without the grills. I also want to tell you that the premium hi-fi channel is developing, and in order to improve the sound quality, to improve the video quality, I need to update the equipment on which I shoot my videos. Right below the video, there is a thank you button, and all thanks received, all donations received, are sent straight to the equipment upgrade. That's all, buddy. See you soon.